major challenges facing the continent. With the abundance of renewable energy resources, Africa's potential of becoming a leader in the global energy trade is huge. Countries like Morocco, South Africa, Kenya, and Senegal have made remarkable strides in the area of renewable energy. On this assignment, I explore why Ghana's renewable energy resources remain largely untapped.
So renewable energy primarily is the fuel that is used to generate the energy is being replenished naturally. So we are talking about energy from the sun, which is replenished by natural means. We talk about wind power. We talk about geothermal power, which is energy coming from the heat from the ground. We are talking about energy from biogas. So basically, renewable energy is energy which fuel get replenished naturally. For very obvious reasons, solar is the most abundant in Ghana because we have a lot of sun in Ghana. We have at least about 14 hours of sunshine in Ghana throughout the year. And we also have some amount of wind power, although that is still debatable as to which areas will give us more of that power. But sun or solar energy is definitely the most abundant. In 2011, Ghana came out with a Renewable Energy Act. Okay, so this is an act of parliament which was passed in 2011. It is a very good document because we're one of the first few countries in Africa to have such an act, and it detailed out a lot of things, and it was very clear, detailing our focus as to where we want to go with renewables. We set a target for ourselves in that act to achieve at least 10% increment in renewables by the year 2020. One of the things we said was to have a master plan that will help us to achieve that target. Unfortunately, we had the master plan quite late, and we couldn't implement all the things we said in the master plan. And because of that, we couldn't achieve our target in 2020. We have shifted the target date to 2030 in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. The Act has been amended, affirming some of the old things that we said earlier.
Between 2000 and 2019, electricity generation capacity in Ghana increased at a rate of 6.4% a year from 1,358 megawatts to 4,695 megawatts. Out of this, renewable energy accounted for less than 1% of the electricity mix, excluding hydro. In order for Ghana to achieve the goal of generating 10% of its electricity from renewable energy, some investments have been made in the area of solar, wind, and waste to power. The Kalio and Laura Solar Power Plant construction project is being carried out by the Volta River Authority and is expected to have a capacity of 17 megawatts. The two power plants will help to stabilize the power grid in the Upper West region of Ghana. The Bui Solar project is Ghana's largest solar farm. It is expected to contribute 250 megawatts of solar photovoltaic power to the national grid.
The Bui Renewable Energy Project was conceived about 5 years ago when we decided to add renewable energies to our generation mix. And to do that, we expanded our switchyard, which has a capacity of 400 megawatt, with additional 250 megawatt for renewable energy expansion into the national grid. So that was completed around 2016. Then, with that completion, we can now have our renewable energy plants, particularly solar and wind. Then we can inject it to the switchyard and then offload it onto the transmission system, the 161 transmission system. So we decided to do competitive bidding at least cost. to call bidders to come and express interest in doing some solar business with us. We did the first one. We got the developer who won the bid, but unfortunately he couldn't start anything. We did the second one, similarly the same thing. So we took it on our own self to start the project on our own selves. So 2 years ago, we decided to start a 10 megawatt solar project at the Bui Enclave. And when we finished, we added another 40 megawatts to it to make it 50. In addition to that, we also have a 1 megawatt floating solar on the Bui Reservoir at the Sada Dam 1, which has also been completed and will be expanded to 5 megawatts in the very short future.
The potential of solar energy goes beyond the production of power. It presents enormous investment opportunities through public-private partnerships. Experts believe this will significantly reduce the cost of solar energy generation.
Solar, for example, the panels are becoming cheaper by the day. When this technology was introduced a few years ago, you need about 3,000, 4,000 to buy one panel of cedis to get one solar panel. As we speak now, even with 500 cedis, you can buy one panel of one solar panel, and the inventors are becoming cheaper by the day. All the components are very cheap, so it is dropping because it is picking up. Competition is setting in. More and more people are going into it. The
solar solution by itself could be expensive, but if you compare it to other sources of energy, I think for businesses in Ghana, solar power by far is the cheapest. And what Redavia does is when we come in, our plants or solar installations in Ghana are fully financed by us. So the client doesn't need to bring to invest upfront. All right. So we fully finance the plants. We install for you, and then the client only needs to pay monthly fixed fees, and that is from the savings the client makes from using less grid power. So at the end of the day, when you pay the grid and you pay Redavia, you have some savings made.
NEK, a Swiss-based engineering company, is at the forefront of the production of wind energy in Ghana. The wind energy project, situated in the Ningo Prampram district, is in two phases. Dr. Christopher Kapp is the Chief Executive Officer of NEK.
The basis for any wind power project in the whole world are actually three things. First, you must have wind. Secondly, you must have enough land sources which you can tap on to install the wind turbines. And third, you need a relatively strong grid where you can feed in. And based on that these conditions, we actually started our developments back in 1999 here in Ghana, when I was first in Ghana. And we carried out first wind measurements in Ghana between 1999 and 2003, 2004, checking where the best wind locations in the country are. And based on that, we decided to choose the area between Tema and the Togo borderline along the coast, where we measured really the best wind conditions. Apart from that, you have there nearby a very strong 330 kV line, which is empty for the time being, which can actually be used to feed in the electricity which you gain. And there are also large landscapes possible to install the turbines. That's why we decided to go for our projects between Tema and the Togo borderline. The actual situation where we have 5 of our wind projects really much advanced in the development stage, making up an installed capacity of roughly 1,000 megawatt. And now adding a 6th one where we started our development recently, we have a yearly production of 2,500 gigawatt hours.
Also, how much is this project intended to cost?
Roughly $2 billion for the whole investment, yeah. We contracted it some years ago to a UK-based company called Lekela. And this company is actually in charge to raise the funds. The funds have all been ready and prepared to be invested.
How is your energy cheaper than what we already have?
The final price which we negotiated in the Aitepa wind project is slightly below 10 US cents per kilowatt hour. And for the other projects which we are developing, out of which the so-called Konikablo wind farm with 200 megawatt is far advanced, and they use other technologies than the Aitepa wind farm, we are even lower with the price, and we offered to the government price of 7 US cents per kilowatt hour.
Konikablo is a village in the Greater Accra region, and it's the location for one of the NEC wind power sites. This is divided into two, so you have Konikablo North and Konikablo South. If you put it all together, it comes to about 11,000 acres of land waiting to produce wind power. Behind me is a wind measuring mast. So what it does essentially is to measure the level of wind, each day. It would also, when the project takes off completely, determine the distance between one wind tower from the other. Now, from this site, NEC is expected to produce between 60 to 90 megawatts of power. Out of that, the power that will be generated will be sold to private commercial entities who have a need for it, and the rest will be exported.
So we should actually do something in order to support the stability of a country and to support the population. And one of the main issues to do so is generate reliable and affordable and clean electricity. And this is what we. And if Ghana does not jump onto this car, the surrounding countries will do it.
Poor waste management and pollution are inevitable consequences of rapid population growth and urbanization. Waste management plants appear as an effective means of treating these two problems.
At the moment, the energy mix in Ghana is mainly hydro, which accounts for 32 to 35%. Then we have thermal, mainly from light crude oil, heavy oil, diesel and natural gas, accounting for the remaining almost about 64%. The share of other renewables, solar, wind, waste to energy, is altogether is very negligible, below 2%.
Ashaiman is one of Accra's most populated municipalities, with about 250,000 residents and still counting. One of the major problems of this municipality is the improper disposal of waste. And so landfills like what you see behind me is not an uncommon sight. For Safisana, however, the filth is what they need as raw material to convert into clean energy. The Safisana recycling plant, located in the Ashaiman municipality of the Greater Accra region, began operation in 2015. Safisana collects human and organic waste and converts it into electricity, compost and water for irrigation. Mark Apario is the plant manager at Safisana. He walks me through how the full circle plant works.
This is actually the waste reception bay. We have various streams that comes into our plant. Basically, we're looking at organic waste from the industry. We also have food market waste which is basically fruits, and then we have the third stream being fecal from the public toilets and household toilets that also come into our plant here for treatment. Fecal waste comes in, and this is the fecal storage and where we receive fecal waste, which is sieved before, because usually it comes with a lot of foreign materials in, and this creates issues for our operation. So we want to get all the foreign materials out of it before we use it for our operation. So all fecal matter comes through this sieve, as can be seen. Yes. So once it's sieved, it's then channeled into the big mix pit you see there, or storage tank that you see there, and that is yes.
The one here.
Yes. Okay. So there are actually 3 storage tanks. The other 2, the 2 here are just for buffer storage. But the third one is actually where all the feeding, the mixing, or the preparation of the feed is done before it transfers into the biodigester. Because what we do here is an anaerobic treatment where all the feedstock goes into an anaerobic biodigester, where microorganisms feed on these biodegradables, basically organic waste. In the process, methane gas, not only methane gas, but gases are generated. Key interest to us is the methane gas, because that is what we convert into power at our plant. We have a CHP which can be seen. The yellow container that is seen there is the combined heat and power plant that converts the methane gas into power. So from the combined heat and power plant, like I indicated earlier, there is underground cable that has been laid onto this end where whatever we produce get hooked onto the main grid, the national grid. And what you see here is a metering system that was installed by Electricity Company of Ghana to be able to tell us how much we have produced over a period of time, usually on monthly basis. So at the end of the month, they come to take the meter value, and then we are able to tell how much we generate. Even though we also have our internal arrangement or metering system in the combined heat and power plant that is able to tell us on daily basis, on hourly basis, how much we are producing. One of the challenges that we do have is the unstable nature of the main grid. So once we don't have a stable power supply, we cannot produce, even though we can produce. But we need some amount of stableness in the line to be able to produce and join whatever is in it. So currently we are the drying beds. From the pumping out chamber, the right valve is open into the active bed. What we see here is a bed that is partially removed. We have dry digestate that needs to be removed out, but ordinarily the liquid digestate would be pumped onto this bed and allow to over time to dry. From here it is scooped out, the dry digestate is scooped out onto the shed where composting actually starts. At the shed we have dry digestate that has been scooped from the drying beds, which is used to form the base for our co-composting. So we have the dry digestate at the base, and then the other waste is brought on top of it, which is usually the market waste. So it's usually roughly a percentage wise. So we have the dry digestate at the bottom, and then the fruit being at the top, and then the final layer is a bulking agent that is just to allow for aeration. So that is, once we have formed a complete batch, it allowed over a period of time, usually around 3 months. In between these 3 months, we have temperature, pH, and other parameters and monitoring that goes on to ensure that whatever the compost that we are churning out as our successful compost meets the required standard that we have set for ourselves as a business. This is not the final product. The final product is at the grinding zone where they grind it, and then they actually bag them into a SASIG4 compost fertilizer.
The Safisana project plant is a full cycle plant. That means that besides the generation of electricity, it uses the byproduct after that for other things. Behind me is the greenhouse where they cultivate vegetables, and with the greenhouse they can cultivate vegetables with the compost they produce all year round.
I think
for Safisana, for example, for the model that we are using, we've tested it. This was the first plant that Safisana put in place anywhere else in the world, and it works. It's self-sustaining, and there is a few more companies who are looking at putting similar plants across the country, for example. So I think yes, it's bright. The model works. And it's dealing with waste as well as giving us the byproduct, which is electricity. So I see a very bright future for the industry.
The abundance of renewable energy resources in Ghana is clearly not in doubt. But why is Ghana's energy challenges still unresolved? Wisdom Togobo is former Director of Renewable and Alternative Energy at the Ministry of Energy and a renewable energy expert. He provides some answers.
We have exhausted most of our hydro potential, and going forward, as our demand for power increase, we are adding more of thermal energy in the form of heavy oil, light oil, and natural gas. So it is not possible to increase the percentage of renewable energy in the total generation mix to 10%. I'm not surprised that up to date, even though we have the Renewable Energy Act in place, no developer has successfully been able to develop a waste to energy plant. It can be sustained once we are able to identify a sustained source of funding to support it. And it could be a sanitation levy that we could levy a few, maybe the producers of this waste, especially the sachet water, the plastic bottles, etc. We could put some levy, or maybe Ghanaians, if Ghanaians are reluctant to ask for more levies, but if there is a sustained source of funding, no matter how small it is, to support these operations, we will not only clean the environment, but will address health-related issues and then have electricity as a byproduct. There are some communities in this country that if you are to extend the national grid, it becomes more expensive to do so, especially communities on the island. For such communities, the more cost-effective option is to deploy renewable energy-based mini-grids. And for isolated homes that are far from the grid, solution is to deploy standalone solar home systems, which are renewable sources. So renewable has a role to play in increasing energy access in Ghana. But when it comes to energy for industrialization, we have exploited most of our large hydros, which gives us cheap power. What we have left are the oils and the natural gas, which are quite expensive. Solar and wind, even though solar comes with modern technologies, the price of solar is becoming relatively cheaper. But the sun is not available 24/7. The sun is only available basically between 6 to 8 hours in the day. That's from about 8 a.m. to about 4 p.m. Then you get good sunshine. But beyond that, in the night, when the sun is not there, what do? The option would be to use a storage facility, which is the battery. But batteries, for now, are still very expensive.
The trend is that renewables have become very popular, and ECG cannot sit down for a competition to catch up with them. So the act has to change in a way to allow them to go into the renewable energy space. And how that is going to happen, I think the technicians and the policy makers will look at it to give them the necessary political and legal backing to do that.
One thing is certain: renewable energy is key to boosting economies and creating jobs. It is no longer a niche fuel. It is the future. The future is clean energy.
is a renowned Ghanaian media personality and women's advocate. She is passionate about social issues and takes exceptional interest in telling life-changing stories.
Can you believe through this Ababoya, I've been able to complete the University of Cape Coast.
Welcome to Asinkushia. This is actually the cleanest city in Ghana.
Life is not a competition. Keep to the pace.
Action!
Welcome to the Day Show, guys!
The Day Show unravels life-threatening stories.
Before they can steal more babies, they need dead bodies to be showing parents that your baby is dead.
The passion, the fun, and sometimes not so very pleasant moments.
Yes, I have suicidal thoughts and homicidal thoughts.
Tell your story to inspire. After all, everyone has got one.
The Day Show with Brella Mundi now shows on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and repeats on Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana's biggest music weekend back in.
Man, wherever you find yourself, Kwame, my